kid's name is Tobias. Tobias Hayes, 8 years old. Sector J, Barracks 14, Bunk 23 lower. I know because I check on him 4 times a day. 0600, 1200, 1800, 2200. More than regulations require. Way more than a staff sergeant with 847 other refugees under his watch should be doing. But Tobias is mine, my son. And Camp Charlie is where they sent us when San Antonio fell. I'm walking the perimeter now, 2,147 hours. 13 minutes before my next scheduled check on Barracks 14. The Coleman lanterns, we've got maybe 200 of them scattered across the camp because the generators can only handle medical and command. They cast these long shadows that make the concertina wire look like it's moving. It's not. I check every night. Physical security is my job. Has been for 16 years, ever since I joined up at Fort Hood. Staff Sergeant Nolan Hayes, 143rd Logistics Battalion, currently assigned to Refugee Management Operations, San Antonio Quarantine Zone. Refugee Management Operations. That's what they're calling this. I should be better at it. The management part. Colonel Vickers, he's the camp commandant, used to run supply chains for the entire Southern Theater. Now he's in charge of keeping 12,000 people alive on rations meant for 8,000. He keeps telling me I'm too hands-on. Hayes, you can't personally verify every fever report. You can't inspect every latrine. You can't. And then he stops because he knows about Tobias. Everyone in command knows. My son's in Barracks 14. That's why I requested this posting. Well, requested is generous. I pulled every favor I had left after Denise died. Denise, my wife, Tobias's mom. She died in the San Antonio Convention Center on day 4 of the outbreak. Some kind of hemorrhagic response to the virus, that's what the medics said anyway, before they stopped trying to explain what was killing people. Just stamped her file with the red biohazard triangle and told me I had 15 minutes to say goodbye through the plastic sheeting. Tobias was already in the pediatric quarantine ward. He didn't get to say goodbye at all. That was 6 weeks ago. The virus. Jesus, I still don't know what to call it. The official designation is VSA-1. V for viral, SA for San Antonio. 1, because apparently somewhere in Fort Detrick, they're optimistic enough to assume there won't be a VSA-2. Everyone just calls it the fever because that's what it starts with. Fever, then the bleeding, then you die. 73% mortality rate in the initial outbreak. They got it down to maybe 40% here in the camp through aggressive hydration and some antiviral cocktail that probably doesn't actually do shit but makes people feel like we're trying. Tobias had it 3 weeks ago. Fever hit 104.7 degrees Fahrenheit. I was there. Technically, I wasn't supposed to be in the medical tent during my off shift, but like I said, I'm bad at following protocols when it comes to my kid, and I watched the thermometer climb. The medic, this specialist named Ortega, who can't be older than 22, she kept checking the batteries like the thermometer was broken. It wasn't broken. Then the fever just stopped. Dropped to 99.1 degrees Fahrenheit over the course of 40 minutes. Ortega drew blood, ran 3 separate rapid tests, and they all came back the same. Antibodies. Lots of them. Tobias's immune system had done something that, according to every piece of medical literature we had access to, shouldn't be possible. He'd fought it off. Natural immunity. They moved him back to Barracks 14 after 72 hours of observation. I've been checking on him 4 times a day ever since. 5 times if I'm honest. Sometimes 6. I'm at the fence line now. North perimeter. The city's out there in the dark. What's left of it. We can see the fires some nights. Not as many as there were in the first week. Either people found ways to survive without electricity, or there aren't enough people left to start fires. I don't think about which one is more likely. My radio crackles. Hayes, this is command. We've got a situation in Barracks 14. Medical response requested. Barracks 14, where Tobias sleeps. I'm running before Vickers finishes the sentence. The camp is maybe half a square mile. Former warehouse district converted to refugee housing, and Barracks 14 is on the eastern edge, near where they've set up the pediatric sector. My watch says 21:49. 2 minutes since the call came in. The Coleman lanterns blur past me. I nearly trip over the guy rope on one of the latrines. We've got them set up in rows like some kind of disaster within the disaster, which I guess is accurate. Hayes, acknowledge. Vickers says through the radio static. Copy. 2 minutes out. My voice sounds steady. That's good. My voice should sound steady. I'm a staff sergeant. I've done 3 deployments. I've run supply convoys through Kandahar. I can handle whatever's happening in Barracks 14. Except Tobias is in Barracks 14. The barracks is one of those prefab warehouse conversions. Concrete floor, metal frame, canvas stretched over the top because we didn't have time to build actual roofs before the first wave of evacuees arrived. There are voices inside, shouting. I push through the entrance flap and the smell hits me first. Sweat, unwashed bodies, the chemical toilets they've got stationed every 50 feet, and underneath it all something else. Something wrong. There's a crowd. Maybe 30 people clustered around bunk 23. Tobias's bunk. Move, I say, and they do because I'm still wearing my ACU and the armband that says security, and most of these people have spent the last 6 weeks learning that when someone in uniform tells you to move, you move. Tobias is sitting on his bunk. His lower bunk, 23 lower, exactly where he should be. He's wearing the gray sweatpants and white t-shirt they issue to pediatric refugees. Sizes small, medium, and you'll grow into it. His hair needs cutting. I keep meaning to find scissors. He's looking at me with these wide brown eyes. Denise's eyes, not mine. And he's not crying, but his hands are shaking. On the floor in front of him is a woman. I recognize her. Lucia Fernandez, 40-something, Sector J resident. Shares the barracks with her teenage daughter. She's on her knees. Her nose is bleeding. Not the hemorrhagic bleeding from the virus. I've seen enough of that to know the difference, but steady enough that there's blood on her chin, her shirt dripping onto the concrete. What happened? I ask, and my voice still sounds steady. Nobody answers immediately. Then Ortega pushes through the crowd. She must have been already in the barracks doing evening med checks, and she's got her field kit open. Lucia reported a headache approximately 5 minutes ago. Sudden onset. Then the nosebleed started. She's checking Lucia's pupils with a pen light. Pupils reactive. Blood pressure elevated but not critical. Lucia, can you tell me what you're feeling? Lucia looks up at Ortega, and there's something in her expression that makes my stomach drop. Not pain, fear. He was in my head, she whispers. The boy, he was in my head. Everyone turns to look at Tobias, my son, who's looking at me like he doesn't understand what's happening, like he needs me to fix this, like he's 8 years old and scared and wants his dad to make sense of the senseless. That's not possible, I say, but even as the words leave my mouth, I'm thinking about the antibodies, about the impossible fever drop, about the way Tobias beat a virus that kills 4 out of every 10 people who catch it. She's not the first, someone says from the crowd. I turn. It's a man I vaguely recognize, Sector J, one of the farm families that evacuated from the outer suburbs. His name escapes me. There were 2 others this afternoon, different barracks. Both complained about headaches near the boy. Both had nosebleeds. That's coincidence, I say. This is a refugee camp. People get headaches. The air quality alone. They all said the same thing. The man continues, that they could feel him in their thoughts. I look at Ortega. She's still kneeling next to Lucia, but she's not looking at her patient anymore. She's looking at Tobias. Staff Sergeant, she says quietly, I need to run tests. I need to get him to medical. Now, the word comes out harder than I intended. He stays here. He's cleared. You cleared him yourself 3 weeks ago. That was before. Ortega gestures at Lucia at the blood on the floor. Sir, if there's any possibility that Tobias is contagious, he's not contagious. He's immune. You saw the antibody tests. Immunity doesn't explain this. Ortega stands up. She's a good medic. I've seen her work 18-hour shifts during the outbreak's worst days. But right now she looks at my son the way people looked at infected patients in the convention center. Like he's dangerous. I need to report this to medical command. They need to know. He's 8. I say. He's a child. Whatever's happening to these people, there has to be another explanation. But even as I say it, I'm watching Tobias. And Tobias is staring at his hands like he's seeing them for the first time. "Daddy," he says, so quiet I almost miss it. "I think I did something wrong." They don't arrest him. You can't arrest an 8-year-old for having a nosebleed proximity problem. Apparently there's no regulation for that. But they move him. 0237 hours. Middle of the night. Vickers himself comes to Barracks 14 with 2 MPs and Ortega and tells me they're transferring Tobias to medical observation in the command building. The command building used to be the site manager's office back when this place was a legitimate warehouse. Now it's got Vickers' desk, a radio setup connecting us to Fort Sam Houston, and apparently a spare room they're converting into an isolation ward. "This is protective custody," Vickers says when I start to argue. "For him and for everyone else. He hasn't done anything wrong." Staff Sergeant, 3 people in the last 8 hours have reported identical symptoms after proximity to your son. All 3 presented with sudden onset headaches and nosebleeds. All 3 reported. He glances at Tobias, who's sitting on his bunk pretending not to listen. Unusual mental experiences. I don't have a protocol for this, Hayes. Nobody does. But I can't risk a camp-wide panic, and I can't risk whatever's happening spreading further. Spreading? You think he's contagious? I think I don't know what he is. Vickers softens slightly. "Look, we'll keep him comfortable. You can visit during authorized hours. But until Fort Sam sends someone who actually understands what's happening, he needs to be isolated." That's final, so they take him. Tobias looks back at me as the MPs escort him out. They're not rough about it, they're just there. And I see Denise in his eyes again. Denise, who died 6 weeks ago while I stood outside the plastic sheeting and couldn't do a damn thing to help her. I follow them to the command building anyway. Vickers doesn't stop me. The isolation room is maybe 10 feet by 12 feet, concrete walls, no windows, one of those LED camping lanterns for light because the generators are still prioritized elsewhere. There's a cot, a folding chair, and a bucket in the corner that I'm trying very hard not to think about as a toilet. They've already set up a card table outside the door with Ortega's medical equipment, thermometer, blood pressure cuff, boxes of latex gloves. "I'll be monitoring him every 2 hours, Ortega tells me. She's trying to sound professional, but there's something in her voice. Not quite fear, caution. "If his condition changes, if anything changes, I'll notify you immediately. His condition is fine. He's healthy. You said so yourself." That was before the incidents. The incidents. That's what we're calling them now. Tobias sits on the cot. He's still wearing the gray sweatpants and white t-shirt. Still needs that haircut. "Am I in trouble?" he asks. "No," I say immediately. "No, buddy, you're not in trouble. They just want to make sure you're okay. But I'm not sick anymore. You said I got better. You did get better. It's just a precaution. You know what that word means." He nods. Smart kid. Always has been. Takes after Denise that way. She was an accountant before the outbreak. Could do complex tax calculations in her head, while I still needed a calculator for anything past basic arithmetic. It means they're being extra careful. Because of what I did to Mrs. Fernandez. You didn't do anything to Mrs. Fernandez. She got a headache. That's not your fault. But even as I say it, I'm remembering the look on Lucia's face. He was in my head. Tobias is quiet for a moment. Then, "Dad, when I was sick, when I had the fever, I had these dreams. Except they didn't feel like dreams. They felt like I was somewhere else. Inside other people. I could hear what they were thinking. Not words exactly. More like feelings. Like I was them, but I was also still me. My throat goes dry. Did you tell anyone about this? Just you. Right now." I glance at the door. Ortega is outside setting up her monitoring station. Vickers has already left. He's got 847 other problems to deal with tonight. 846 now that Tobias is isolated. Buddy, I need you to not mention the dreams to anyone else. Not yet. Not until we figure out what's happening. Okay? Why? Because if you tell them you were inside other people's heads, they'll stop seeing you as a sick kid who got better and start seeing you as a threat. Because the military doesn't have protocols for psychic 8-year-olds, and when the military doesn't have protocols, they make mistakes. Because your mother is dead and you're all I have left and I cannot lose you too. Because people are scared right now, I say instead. And when people are scared, they don't always think clearly. So let's just keep this between us until things calm down. He nods slowly. Okay. I stay with him until Ortega comes in at 0400 to take his vitals. Temperature 98.4 degrees Fahrenheit. Blood pressure normal. No signs of fever or hemorrhagic response. He's healthy. He's fine. He's just a kid who survived a virus that killed his mother, and now there's something else happening that I don't understand and can't protect him from. I leave the command building at 0430. My shift doesn't technically start until 0600, but I'm not sleeping tonight. Instead, I head to the medical tent, a genuine army surplus tent, olive drab canvas, set up near the south perimeter. There are maybe 20 cots inside, 15 of them occupied. Some with fever patients, some recovering, some just waiting to see which way their symptoms will trend. I find Lucia Fernandez in the third row. Her daughter is sitting beside her. Teresa, 16, wearing a denim jacket that's too big for her. The nosebleed has stopped. There's dried blood on Lucia's upper lip. Mrs. Fernandez, I say quietly. I'm Staff Sergeant Hayes, Tobias's father. I wanted to check how you're feeling. She looks at me with these tired eyes. Not hostile, just exhausted. The headache stopped about an hour ago. Specialist Ortega says my blood pressure is back to normal. I'm glad to hear that. I pause. What you said earlier about Tobias being in your head. Can you explain what you meant by that? Lucia glances at her daughter, then back to me. It's going to sound crazy. Try me. I've seen a lot of crazy in the last 6 weeks. She takes a breath. I was doing laundry. We've got those portable washers set up near Barracks 14, you know the ones. I was folding Teresa's jeans and then suddenly I felt pressure, like someone was standing too close behind me, except there wasn't anyone there. And then I heard, no, that's not right. I didn't hear anything. I felt someone else's feelings. Fear, confusion, a child's feelings. And I knew it was the boy, Tobias. I knew it the same way you know when someone is staring at you from across a room. How long did this last? Maybe 30 seconds. Then the headache started, like someone was pushing against the inside of my skull. That's when the nosebleed began. Teresa speaks up. Mom's not making this up. I saw it happen. 1 second she was fine. The next she was on her knees bleeding. I believe them. That's the worst part. I completely believe them because Tobias told me about the dreams, about being inside other people. And now 3 people are reporting the same experience. Is he dangerous? Lucia asks. Your son. He's 8 years old. He's scared and confused, and he just lost his mother 6 weeks ago. I hear the defensiveness in my voice. Whatever's happening, it's not intentional. He's not trying to hurt anyone. But he is hurting people, Teresa says. Even if he doesn't mean to. I don't have an answer for that. I leave the medical tent at 0520. The sun is starting to come up. There's this gray pre-dawn light that makes the camp look even more depressing than it does at night. The lanterns are still burning because nobody's gone around to turn them off yet. That's my job, technically. Physical security includes resource management. But right now, I'm walking toward the communications tent where we keep the satellite phone connection to Fort Sam Houston. The communications specialist on duty is a corporal named Desmond Pine. Young guy, maybe 25, ran IT support at some corporate office before he enlisted. He looks up when I enter. Staff Sergeant, you're up early. I need to make a call to Fort Sam. Medical Liaison. At 0530? It's important. He doesn't argue, just sets up the connection. It takes maybe 3 minutes. The satellite link is slow, especially in the morning when everyone's trying to make calls. But eventually I'm connected to a Captain Ibarra at the Fort Sam Houston Medical Command Center. This is Captain Ibarra. How can I help you, Staff Sergeant? I explain the situation, Tobias's immunity, the incidents, the reports of psychogenic contact. I try to make it sound clinical, professional, like I'm reporting equipment failure instead of talking about my son developing impossible abilities. Ibarra listens without interrupting. When I finish, there's a long pause. Then, Staff Sergeant Hayes, I need you to maintain current isolation protocols. Do not allow physical contact between the subject and other refugees. I'm dispatching a medical team from Fort Sam. They should arrive at your location by 1300 hours. Until then, the subject remains quarantined. Understood. The subject, not Tobias, not your son. The subject. Understood. I say. I hang up. Desmond is pretending he wasn't listening, but I can tell from his posture he heard everything. You okay, Staff Sergeant? Thanks for the phone access. I leave the communications tent and walk back to the command building. Tobias should be asleep. It's not even 0600 yet, but when I look through the small window in the isolation room door, he's awake, sitting on the cot with his knees pulled up to his chest. Just sitting there in the LED light. I tap on the door. He looks up. I mouth the words, "You okay?" He nods, but he doesn't look okay. He looks like a kid who knows something is very wrong and doesn't understand what. I should go in. I should sit with him. But Vickers said authorized visiting hours only, and technically my shift starts in 4 minutes, and there's part of me, the part that spent 16 years following orders, that says breaking protocol right now will only make things worse. So I don't go in. I just stand there on the other side of the door and watch my son sit alone in a concrete room because I don't know what else to do. The medical team from Fort Sam Houston arrives at 1,247 hours. 2 doctors, a major named Reeves and a civilian contractor whose ID badge says Dr. Philippa Strand, CDC, plus 4 enlisted support personnel and enough equipment that they need 2 vehicles to haul it all. Vickers meets them at the north gate. I'm there too because he requested my presence. "You're the father," he said when he called me over the radio. "They'll want to talk to you." Dr. Strand is maybe 50, gray hair pulled back in a ponytail, wearing civilian clothes under a white lab coat that looks absurdly out of place in the refugee camp. She shakes my hand with the kind of firm grip that's meant to convey confidence. "Staff Sergeant Hayes, I've reviewed the incident reports. I understand this is difficult for you, but we need to run comprehensive tests on Tobias. The sooner we understand what's happening, the sooner we can help him. Help him, not study him, not contain him. Help. I want to believe her." They set up in the command building. Move Tobias from the isolation room to what used to be Vickers's office. More space for equipment. They've got portable monitors, blood draw equipment, some kind of scanning device that Strand says is an EG setup. "We need to measure his brain activity," she explains, "particularly when he's in proximity to other individuals." "You think this is neurological?" "I think we don't have enough data to make any conclusions yet." She pauses. "Staff Sergeant, I need to ask, has Tobias exhibited any unusual abilities prior to contracting VSA1? Any indication of heightened perception or unusual cognitive capabilities?" "He's 8. He's good at math. That's it. No reported headaches? No complaints of hearing voices or experiencing intrusive thoughts. He was a normal kid. He is a normal kid." Strand nods like she's humoring me, but I can see the doubt in her expression. She thinks Tobias is something other than a normal kid. Maybe she's right. They run the tests. I'm not allowed in the room, protocol, they say, but I watch through the window. Tobias sits in a folding chair while they attach electrodes to his scalp. He's trying to be brave, not crying, but his hands are gripping the armrests so hard his knuckles are white. He looks at the window once, and even though I know he can't see through the one-way glass, I wave anyway. Major Reeves comes out after maybe 40 minutes. His brain activity is unusual, he says without preamble. Significantly elevated activity in the temporal and parietal lobes, areas associated with spatial awareness and sensory processing. But there's also activity in regions we don't normally see lit up like this. The precuneus, parts of the default mode network. It's like his brain is hyperconnected to itself. In English, please. His brain is processing information in ways that shouldn't be possible. The question is whether this is a result of the virus, or if the virus simply revealed something that was already there. So you're saying what? That my son is some kind of mutant? Reeves holds up a hand. I'm saying we need more data. Dr. Strand wants to conduct a proximity test. Bring in a volunteer refugee and measure both Tobias's brain activity and the volunteer's simultaneous response. See if we can document the psychogenic transfer in real time. Absolutely not. You're not using my son as a lab experiment. Staff Sergeant, with respect, we're trying to understand what's happening so we can help him. If Tobias is involuntarily transmitting his thoughts or emotions to others, we need to know the mechanism. Otherwise, he stops. Otherwise what? Reeves looks uncomfortable. Otherwise, this camp has a serious containment problem. There are 12,000 people here. If Tobias's condition is contagious, or if it escalates beyond localized headaches and nosebleeds, he doesn't finish the sentence. He doesn't have to. Vickers pulls me aside. We're in his temporary office. They've moved his desk to the communications tent because the medical team is occupying the command building. He's got a cup of instant coffee that looks like it's been reheated 3 times. Hayes, Fort Sam is asking for recommendations. They want to know if we can maintain quarantine here or if Tobias needs to be transferred to a higher security medical facility. They want to take him off-site. They want options. I need to give them options. And honestly, if this situation escalates, if more people start reporting symptoms, I don't know if we can keep him here safely. For his protection and everyone else's. He's my son. He stays here. Vickers takes a sip of the terrible coffee. You're thinking like a father. I need you to think like a soldier. What would you do if this was someone else's kid? I don't answer immediately because I know what the right answer is. The military answer. Isolate the threat. Minimize risk to the broader population. Follow established containment protocols even when there are no established protocols. I do whatever necessary to protect the camp population. I finally say, good. Now what if I told you Fort Sam is considering a more permanent solution? The way he says permanent makes my stomach drop. What does that mean? It means there are people at the command level who think Tobias represents an unknown biological threat. They're using words like weaponized immunity and psychogenic vector. They're talking about worst-case scenarios. They want to kill him. I say it flat because if I add any emotion, I'll do something stupid like hit Vickers or walk out or both. They want to contain an unprecedented threat to public health and safety. Look, I don't agree with them. I told them that on this morning's conference call. But I'm one colonel in a dying city managing a refugee camp that's 50% over capacity. My opinion doesn't carry much weight right now. I stand up. I need to see him. Hayes, I need to see my son. Right now. That's not a request. Vickers studies me for a long moment. Then he nods. 30 minutes. That's all I can give you before the next round of tests. I head back to the command building. Dr. Strand is outside reviewing data on a tablet. She looks up when I approach. Staff Sergeant. The initial results are fascinating. Tobias's neural patterns suggest he's not just perceiving others' mental states. He's actively broadcasting his own. It's like his consciousness has become porous, permeable. I don't care about the science right now. I need to talk to him. She hesitates. I should probably supervise. 30 minutes. Unsupervised. That's what Colonel Vickers authorized. She steps aside. Tobias is still in the office-turned-examination room, but they've removed the electrodes. He's sitting on the cot they brought in, drinking a juice box, the good kind, Capri Sun Pacific cooler they must have pulled from the pediatric supply. He looks up when I enter. "Dad, they said I'm special, that my brain is doing special things." I sit down next to him. The cot creaks under our combined weight. "How are you feeling?" "Tired." They asked me a lot of questions. Like, did I feel anything when Mrs. Fernandez was near me? Did I try to go into her head? I told them I didn't try to do anything. It just happened. "I believe you." He's quiet for a moment. Then, "Am I sick again? Is this like the fever?" "You beat the fever. Your body did something amazing. It fought off a virus that killed a lot of people. But sometimes when bodies do amazing things, there are side effects. Like the dreams." "Yeah, like the dreams." I put my arm around him. He leans against me. He's small for 8, always has been, takes after Denise's side of the family in height, and sitting here with him I'm struck by how fragile he is. How easy it would be for someone to decide he's too dangerous to keep alive. "Buddy, I need to ask you something important. Can you control it? The thing where you feel other people's thoughts." "I don't know. I don't think so. It just happens sometimes. Usually when I'm scared or confused." That tracks with the incident reports. All 3 people reported symptoms when they were near Tobias during emotional moments. What if you tried really hard to keep it inside? To not let your feelings go out to other people? He pulls away slightly, looks up at me with those brown eyes. "Would that make people stop being scared of me?" "God, he knows. Of course he knows. He's smart. People aren't scared of you. They're just confused. Because they don't understand what's happening." Mrs. Fernandez looked scared. When she was bleeding, she looked at me like I was a monster. "You're not a monster. You're my son, and we're going to figure this out together." I'm saying this like I have a plan. I don't have a plan. I have 30 minutes and no good options. "What if I can't control it?" Tobias asks quietly. "What if I keep hurting people?" That's the question, isn't it? What if he can't control it? What if this gets worse? What if it spreads? I think about Vickers's words, permanent solution. I think about 12,000 refugees crammed into a space meant for 8,000. I think about Fort Sam Houston and colonels making decisions in air-conditioned offices about threats they've never met. I think about Denise, dying behind plastic sheeting while I stood outside helpless. "Then we'll deal with it," I tell him. "But you're not doing this alone. I'm right here. I'm not going anywhere." It's a promise I'm not sure I can keep. Dr. Strand comes to get Tobias for the proximity test. They found a volunteer, a man named Gregory Tull, mid-30s, one of the refugees from Sector K who apparently has medical training and understands the risks. "We'll have both of them monitored simultaneously," Strand explains. "If we can document the transfer of information or emotional state, we'll have concrete data to work with. And if something goes wrong, we'll have emergency medical personnel standing by. This is a controlled environment." Controlled. Nothing about this is controlled. They bring Gregory into the examination room. He shakes Tobias's hand. Actual physical contact, and I see my son flinch slightly. Gregory smiles. "Hey kiddo, they tell me you've got some superpowers brewing. That true?" Tobias doesn't answer. He's looking at me through the window, asking without words if this is okay. I nod even though I'm not sure of anything anymore. Strand attaches electrodes to both of them. Monitors start displaying real-time data, brain waves rendered as scrolling lines and color-coded regions. Major Reeves is narrating into a recorder. Test 1, Proximity Transfer Documentation. Subject is Tobias Hayes, 8 years old, confirmed survivor of VSA-1 with documented antibody response. Volunteer is Gregory Tull, 34, uninfected. Beginning baseline measurements. They sit there for maybe 5 minutes. Nothing happens. The monitors show normal activity. Gregory reports no unusual sensations. Tobias looks bored. Then Reeves says, "Tobias, I'd like you to think about something that makes you sad. Can you do that for me? I want to stop this. I want to go in there and pull my son out of that chair and take him somewhere far away from doctors and tests and Fort Sam Houston. But I'm frozen outside the window watching." Tobias's expression changes. His eyes get glassy. I know what he's thinking about. Denise, his mother, watching her cough up blood in the convention center. Not being able to say goodbye. On the monitors, Tobias's brain activity spikes, particularly in those regions Reeves mentioned, the temporal lobe, the precuneus. Colors shift from blue and green to yellow and orange. And then Gregory Tull makes a sound. Not a word. Just this soft noise like someone punched him in the stomach. His hand goes to his head. "Jesus," he says. "Mr. Tull, describe what you're experiencing." Strand says, clinical, detached. There's someone. I can feel someone else's grief. It's not mine. I didn't lose anyone in the outbreak, but I can feel." His voice breaks. "I can feel what it's like to watch your mother die, to see her through plastic sheeting, to not be able to touch her. This isn't my memory, but I'm living it right now." On the monitors, Gregory's brain activity mirrors Tobias's. The same regions lighting up. The same patterns. "Stop the test," I say. Nobody hears me through the glass. "Stop the fucking test." Blood starts dripping from Gregory's nose. Strand makes a gesture and one of the enlisted support personnel, a specialist I don't recognize, moves to disconnect the electrodes from Tobias. The moment they pull him away from the monitoring equipment, Gregory's nosebleed slows. The brain patterns on his monitor start to normalize. Tobias is crying. Silently, tears running down his face. I push through the door. "That's enough. Test is over." "Staff Sergeant, we need to." I said test is over. I'm next to Tobias now, pulling him against me. He's shaking. "It's okay. You're okay." But he's not okay. None of this is okay. Because now we have documentation. Proof that Tobias can transfer emotional states to others just by proximity. Proof that his brain is doing something the CDC has never seen before. Proof that he's dangerous even if he doesn't mean to be. Dr. Strand pulls me aside an hour later. Gregory has been treated, the nosebleed stopped, the headache faded, and released back to Sector K with instructions to report any lingering symptoms. Tobias is back in isolation. The medical team is packing up equipment. "Staff Sergeant, I need to be direct with you. The test results confirm that Tobias is capable of transmitting psychological and emotional content to individuals within approximately 15 feet. The transmission appears to be involuntary and triggered by heightened emotional states. The nosebleeds suggest a physical component, increased intracranial pressure, possibly microhemorrhaging in the recipient's brain tissue. In English, your son is broadcasting his feelings to everyone around him, and it's causing bleeding in their brains. Minor bleeding right now, but if the exposure is prolonged or if Tobias experiences extreme emotional distress." She pauses. "We don't know what the upper limits are. We don't know if this could escalate to the same hemorrhagic response we saw in acute VSA-1 cases." My mouth is dry. "You're saying he could kill people?" "I'm saying we need to contain this immediately. Fort Sam is recommending transfer to a biosafety level 4 facility where he can be kept in complete isolation until we understand the mechanism and develop potential countermeasures." "Countermeasures? You mean ways to stop him from doing this?" "Yes. What if you can't stop it? What's the contingency plan?" Strand doesn't answer immediately. When she does, her voice is quiet. "That's above my pay grade, Staff Sergeant," which means she knows. They have a contingency. At 18:30 hours, Vickers calls me to the communications tent. There's someone on the satellite link from Fort Sam, not Captain Ibarra. Someone higher up the chain. A general whose name I don't catch because my ears are ringing with white noise. The general's voice comes through the speaker. "Assessment of the threat level warrants immediate action. Colonel Vickers, You are authorized to implement Containment Protocol 7 if the subject shows further signs of escalation or if additional refugees present with severe symptoms. Staff Sergeant Hayes, I understand this is your son. You have my sympathy, but we cannot risk a camp-wide outbreak of psychogenic hemorrhaging. The lives of 12,000 refugees take priority over one individual, regardless of age. Containment Protocol 7. I don't know what that is, but the way Vickers won't meet my eyes tells me everything. General, with respect, the boy is not hostile, Vickers says. He's a traumatized child with an unusual medical condition. There must be alternatives to. The decision is made, Colonel. If Dr. Strand's team cannot develop an effective isolation method within the next 24 hours, you will implement Protocol 7. That's an order. For Sam out. The line goes dead. What's Protocol 7? Ask. Vickers is staring at the radio like it might start talking again. Hayes, you should go check on your son. What is Protocol 7? He finally looks at me. Termination of biological threats that cannot be contained through conventional quarantine. It's a standing order for situations involving weaponized pathogens or, he stops, or 8-year-olds who survived the wrong virus. I'm going to delay as long as I can. Maybe Strand's team can figure something out. Maybe. I'm already walking out of the tent. I don't run. Running would attract attention. But I'm moving fast enough that I reach the command building in under 3 minutes. There's an MP posted outside. Corporal somebody, doesn't matter, and he moves to block the door. Sorry, Staff Sergeant. No unauthorized access to the subject. The subject, I'm his father. Not after 1800 hours, sir. Direct order from Colonel Vickers. I could push past him. I've got rank and size on this kid. But then what? I break into the room, grab Tobias, and go where? The camp is surrounded by fencing and concertina wire. The city outside is either dead or dying. There's nowhere to run, so I stand there outside the door and I do nothing. Just like I did nothing when Denise died behind plastic sheeting. I'm sitting outside the command building when Ortega approaches. She's off shift, should be sleeping, but she's carrying her medical kit. Staff Sergeant, I need to talk to you. Not here. Somewhere private. We walk to the north perimeter where the fence line meets the old warehouse wall. Nobody comes here at night. It's dark. Just the distant glow of Coleman lanterns from the barracks. I access Tobias's medical records, Ortega says. The complete file, including the post-immunity blood work. And there's something in his antibody profile that Dr. Strand's team either missed or didn't mention. The antibodies aren't just attacking the virus. They're modifying his neural tissue. Specifically, they're increasing synaptic density in regions associated with empathy and theory of mind. His brain is physically changing, Staff Sergeant. The virus didn't just fail to kill him. It's rewriting his neurology. Can it be stopped? I don't know. But here's what I do know. If the military thinks Tobias is a biological weapon, they're going to study him until they understand how to replicate it or eliminate it. Either way, he's not surviving that process. So what do I do? Ortega looks at me, really looks at me. You're his father. You tell me. 0347 hours. I haven't slept. I've been sitting outside the command building watching the MP rotation. They change guards every 4 hours. 0400, 0800. Right now, it's Corporal Ames on duty. Young guy, maybe 22. He's been letting me sit here without hassle, probably because he feels bad about keeping a father away from his kid. I've got maybe 13 minutes before the next shift change. The camp is quiet. Most refugees are asleep. The Coleman lanterns have been turned down to conserve fuel. We're burning through propane faster than the supply convoys can deliver. There's enough light to navigate, but not enough to see details beyond maybe 20 feet. 13 minutes to decide if I'm going to follow orders or save my son. Because that's what this is. A choice. The kind of choice that Vickers was talking about when he said think like a soldier instead of a father. A soldier would understand that 12,000 people outweigh one kid. that unknown biological threats need to be contained, that sometimes you sacrifice the individual for the group. A father would say fuck that and burn the whole world down to protect his child. I keep seeing Denise, behind the plastic sheeting, coughing up blood while I stood outside helpless because someone in authority said that's protocol. That's the rule. That's what keeps everyone else safe. I followed orders then. I let them put my wife behind plastic and I watched her die alone because that was the proper procedure. I'm not doing that again. I stand up, walk over to Ames. Corporal, I need 5 minutes with my son. Personal matter. You can come in with me if you want. Ames hesitates. He's got that look young soldiers get when someone with more rank asks them to bend rules. The look that says I want to help but I'll get in trouble. 5 minutes, I repeat. I just need to talk to him. Then I'm gone. He nods. 5 minutes. But I'm keeping the door open. We go in. Tobias is awake. Probably hasn't slept much either. He's sitting on the cot in the LED light wearing the same gray sweatpants and white t-shirt they issued him 48 hours ago. His hair still needs cutting. Hey buddy, I say. Am I going to die? The question hits me like a fist. Ames shifts uncomfortably behind me but doesn't leave. No, I say. No, you're not going to die. I promise. I heard them talking. The doctors. They said I was dangerous. That I could hurt people even if I don't mean to. He's crying now. Quiet tears. I don't want to hurt people. I just want to go home. I want Mom. I kneel down next to the cot. Put my hand on his shoulder. Listen to me. What's happening to you isn't your fault. You didn't choose this. Your body is doing something it doesn't understand because the virus changed things. But you're still you. You're still Tobias. You're still my son. But if I'm dangerous, you're not dangerous. You're scared. There's a difference. I'm aware of Ames listening. Aware that I've got maybe 3 minutes left. I need to do this carefully. Tobias, I need you to trust me. Can you do that? He nods. Okay, I'm gonna come back in a little while. And when I do, I need you to be ready to move fast. Don't ask questions. Don't argue. Just do exactly what I say. Can you promise me that? His eyes get wide. He understands. Smart kid. Okay, good boy. I stand up. Look at Ames. Thank you, Corporal. I leave the command building. I've got maybe 90 minutes before Dr. Strand's team arrives for their morning assessment. 90 minutes to figure out how to get Tobias out of a secured military facility surrounded by fencing and concertina wire with multiple checkpoints and armed guards. I walk to the vehicle depot. We've got maybe 30 trucks, mostly Humvees and a few civilian vehicles we requisitioned during the evacuation. The keys are kept in the security office. I'm authorized to access them, part of my physical security duties. Sign out a vehicle, provide destination and justification, return within designated time frame. I sign out Humvee 7. Destination, South Perimeter Patrol. Justification, fence line inspection. Nobody questions it. It's 0412 hours and the sergeant on duty is half asleep. I drive Humvee 7 to the south gate. There's a checkpoint 1 MP on duty at this hour. He waves me through when he sees my rank and the authorized vehicle slip. The city is dark beyond the fence. Empty streets, abandoned cars, the occasional fire burning in the distance. I drive approximately 1 mile south. Then I turn around and park the Humvee on a side street where it's visible from the camp but obscured enough that someone would have to be looking for it specifically. I walk back to the camp. Takes me maybe 20 minutes. Nobody notices. The perimeter guards are watching outward for external threats, not inward for staff sergeants abandoning vehicles. 0447 hours. I'm back at the command building. Different MP on duty now, the 0400 shift change. This one I don't know. He's older, maybe 30, looks prior service infantry from the way he stands. Staff Sergeant Hayes, he says when I approach. Sir, I can't allow access to the subject at this time. Understood. I'm not here for access. I'm here to relieve you for a 15-minute head break. Colonel Vickers authorized me for interim guard duty while he arranges a permanent second watch. It's a lie. But it's a believable lie because Vickers has been scrambling to manage staffing shortages for 6 weeks and nobody would be surprised if he made last-minute schedule changes. The MP hesitates. I haven't received confirmation from command. That's because Colonel Vickers is currently on the satellite link with Fort Sam. He asked me to cover this post so we maintain continuous security. You've been on duty since 0400, right? When's your next scheduled break? Not until 0800, sir. Then take 15 minutes now. Use the latrine. Get coffee. I've got this post. He looks at the command building door, then back at me. Finally nods. 15 minutes. Thank you, sir. He leaves. Heads toward the latrine facility near Barracks 8. I have 15 minutes. Maybe less if he gets suspicious or runs into Vickers or checks with command. I open the door. Tobias is standing up already, like he knew I was coming. Maybe he did. Maybe that psychogenic connection works both ways. Dad, we're leaving. Right now. Don't talk. Just follow me. I grab his hand. We exit the command building through the back access. There's a service door that leads to the equipment storage area. Nobody's watching it because the real security concern is people trying to get in, not out. The camp is still mostly dark. 0452 hours. Pre-dawn gray light starting to show in the east. We move along the fence line toward the south perimeter. Tobias is keeping up. I'm moving fast but not running, trying to look like routine patrol activity if anyone sees us from a distance. We're maybe 200 yards from the south gate when I hear the radio chatter. Someone's found the command building unguarded. Someone's noticed the subject is missing. The camp loudspeakers crackle to life. Code 7. Repeat, Code 7. All security personnel to command building. Subject Tobias Hayes is missing and considered a biological threat. Dad, they're calling me a threat. Ignore it. Keep moving. We reach the south gate. The same MP who waved me through earlier is still on duty. But now he's got his radio out and he's listening to the Code 7 alert. He sees me approaching with Tobias and his hand drops to his sidearm. Staff Sergeant Hayes, stop right there. Sir, I need you to return the subject to command immediately. Can't do that, Private. Sir, this is a direct order from. I know what it is, and I'm refusing it. Open the gate. I can't do that, sir. I'm still moving forward. Tobias's hand is in mine. The private has his weapon drawn now, M9 pistol, standard issue, but he's shaking. He doesn't want to shoot a staff sergeant. He definitely doesn't want to shoot an 8-year-old kid. You going to shoot me, Private? You going to shoot a child? Sir, please don't make me. I'm close enough now that I could disarm him. 16 years in the army teaches you things. But I don't want to hurt this kid. He's just following orders. Same orders that would have killed my son. Listen to me. I say quietly. In about 3 hours, someone from Fort Sam is going to implement Containment Protocol 7 on this boy. You know what that means? It means they're going to kill him because they don't understand what's happening and they're scared. He's 8 years old. He just lost his mother. And I'm not letting him die because some general decided it's easier to eliminate threats than protect children. So you can shoot me, or you can open this gate and pretend you never saw us. Your choice. The private looks at Tobias. Really looks at him. Sees a scared kid in gray sweatpants who's crying and holding his father's hand. He holsters his weapon. Opens the gate. I didn't see anything, sir. Thank you, Private. We're through the gate. Running now. The city streets are empty. Most of the survivors evacuated weeks ago. The ones who stayed are either dead or hiding. I can hear vehicles starting up behind us in the camp. They're coming after us. The Humvee is where I left it. 1 mile south, obscured behind an abandoned Toyota dealership. Tobias climbs in. I start the engine. The fuel gauge shows 3/4 full. Maybe enough to get us where? I don't have a destination. I just have a way. We drive. Behind us, I can see lights from the camp. Headlights. At least 2 vehicles pursuing. The Humvee isn't fast, but it's got four-wheel drive and I know these streets. Used to run supply routes through San Antonio before everything collapsed. I take side roads, residential neighborhoods where the houses are dark and empty. Where are we going? Tobias asks. I don't know yet. Are they going to catch us? Not if I can help it. We're maybe 5 miles from the camp when the road ahead is blocked. Not by military, by civilian survivors. Maybe a dozen of them standing in the street with rifles and makeshift weapons. One of them steps forward holding a flashlight. That's far enough. This is private territory. Turn around. I stop the Humvee. Call out through the window. We're not infected, just passing through. We don't want trouble. The man with the flashlight approaches. He's maybe 40, wearing a hunting vest and carrying what looks like a Remington 700. You're military. From the refugee camp. Why are you running? Because the military wants to kill my son. The man looks at Tobias. What did he do? He survived a virus that killed his mother. Now they think he's dangerous. There's a long moment where nobody moves. Then the man lowers his rifle. There's a settlement about 30 miles east. Survivors from the suburbs. They've got supplies, walls, some kind of organization. Take Highway 90 until you see the old Home Depot. Turn north. They might take you in. Thank you. Don't thank me. Just keep that kid safe. We've lost enough children already. He waves his people aside. We drive through. Highway 90 is empty. Abandoned cars in the lanes. Some of them still have bodies inside. I don't let Tobias look. The sun is coming up now. Full daylight. The Humvee's radio crackles, military frequency. Vickers's voice. Hayes, if you can hear this, you need to come back. Fort Sam has authorized lethal force for your apprehension. They're sending a military police unit from Fort Sam. You've got maybe 2 hours before they find you. Bring the boy back and I'll do everything I can to negotiate protective custody instead of Protocol 7. But if you stay out there, they will hunt you down. They will not negotiate, and they will implement containment regardless of your presence. Hayes, please, think about what you're doing. I turn off the radio. Dad, maybe we should go back. I don't want you to get in trouble because of me. I'm already in trouble. Might as well make it count. We see the Home Depot 30 minutes later. Turn north like the man said. The settlement is visible from maybe a mile out. Walls made of shipping containers and concrete barriers. Guard towers. This isn't some makeshift survivor camp. This is organized. We approach slowly. Hands visible. A voice calls out from the nearest tower. Identify yourselves. Staff Sergeant Nolan Hayes, U.S. Army. And my son Tobias. We're seeking refuge. From what? From the people who are supposed to be helping us. There's a pause. Then the gates open. A woman meets us inside. Maybe 55, gray hair, wearing civilian clothes but carrying herself like former military. I'm Governor Ashford. Used to be Lieutenant Governor of Texas before everything went to hell. This is our settlement. We've got about 400 survivors here. What's your situation? I explain everything. The virus, Tobias's immunity, the psychogenic transfer, Fort Sam Houston's containment protocol. She listens without interrupting. When I finish, she's quiet for a long moment. Then, your son is transmitting his emotional state to others within proximity? Yes, ma'am. And the military wants him dead because they're afraid of what he represents. Yes, ma'am. She looks at Tobias. Can you control it, son? I don't know. I don't think so. It just happens when I'm scared. Well, then we'll have to make sure you're not scared. She turns to me. Staff Sergeant, I'm going to be direct. If your son causes harm to anyone in this settlement, intentional or not, we will have to make difficult decisions. But unlike Fort Sam Houston, we believe in giving people chances before we execute them. You can stay, both of you, but understand you're under observation. And if the military comes for you, we're not going to war with the United States Army to protect you. Understood. Thank you, Governor. She nods. Get some rest. You both look like hell. They give us a room. An actual room with walls and a door that locks and 2 beds. Tobias lies down on one of them. Within minutes, he's asleep. First real sleep he's probably had in days. I sit in the chair by the window and watch the gates. The military police unit arrives for vehicles, maybe 20 personnel. They park outside the settlement walls and one of them uses a bullhorn. This is Captain DeMarco, Fort Sam Houston Military Police. We are seeking Staff Sergeant Nolan Hayes and Subject Tobias Hayes. They are wanted for violation of quarantine protocols and are considered biological threats. Surrender them immediately or this settlement will be considered in violation of emergency military authority. Governor Ashford goes out to meet them. I can't hear the conversation from here, but I can see the body language. She's not backing down. DeMarco is gesturing, getting angry. Then I see him make a signal to his troops. They're going to come in. I wake Tobias. We need to go. Now. But before we can move, there's a sound like distant thunder. Except it's not thunder. It's gunfire. From the settlement walls. Someone's shooting at the military police. The settlement loudspeaker crackles. All residents. We are under attack by U.S. military forces attempting to violate our sovereign territory. Defend the walls. This is insane. These are civilians firing on U.S. military. This is going to end with everyone dead. I grab Tobias and run toward the gates. Governor Ashford sees me coming. Hayes, what are you doing? This isn't worth a massacre. The hell you are. We don't hand over kids to people who want them dead. They'll kill everyone here if you don't. Tobias pulls away from me, walks toward the gates. I'll go. Dad, I'm not letting people die because of me. I'm not like Mom. I'm not dying behind plastic while you watch. I'm making the choice. He's 8 years old. He shouldn't have to make this choice. Nobody should have to make this choice. But he's right. If we stay, the settlement fights the military. Maybe everyone dies. If he surrenders, at least it's contained to him. I can keep running with him. Take him somewhere else. There are settlements all over Texas. We could disappear, but the military won't stop looking. They'll tear apart every survivor community until they find him. How many people die in that search? Or I can let him go. Watch them take him back to Fort Sam. Watch them implement Protocol 7. Watch my son die because the military is too afraid of what he represents to try to help him. The choice isn't between saving Tobias and saving the settlement. The choice is between Tobias dying now or Tobias dying later after more people get hurt. There is no version of this where my son survives. I understand that now. Standing here at the gates with gunfire echoing off the shipping container walls. This was always how it was going to end. The moment he survived that virus. The moment his brain started doing impossible things. The moment Fort Sam decided he was a threat instead of a victim. I'm going with you, I tell him. Dad, I'm not negotiating. If you go, I go. They want a biological threat. They get both of us. Tobias looks at me with Denise's brown eyes. Eyes that have seen too much for 8 years. Okay, we walk out the gates together. Hand in hand. Father and son. Captain DeMarco has his weapon raised. So do the 20 military police behind him. Staff Sergeant Hayes, you are under arrest for violation of emergency quarantine protocols. Subject Tobias Hayes is to be remanded to medical custody immediately. Understood, Captain. We surrender. But I have one condition. You don't get conditions. You let me stay with him. Whatever happens at Fort Sam, whatever protocol you implement, I'm there. You don't separate us. DeMarco looks uncertain. That's not. It's non-negotiable. You want him? I'm part of the package. Behind us, the settlement is quiet, waiting to see what happens. If the military accepts, the standoff ends peacefully. If they don't, this turns into a bloodbath. Finally, DeMarco nods. Both of you in vehicle 2. Hands where I can see them. They zip tie our wrists. Put us in the back of an armored transport. The doors close. It's dark except for a small window showing the settlement getting smaller in the distance. Tobias leans against me. What's going to happen to us? I want to lie. Tell him it'll be okay. That the military will understand. That they'll find a way to help him control his abilities instead of killing him for having them. But I'm done lying. I don't know, I say. But whatever happens, we're together. That's what matters. He's quiet for a moment. Then, do you think Mom is proud of us? I think about Denise, accountant, could do tax calculations in her head. Died behind plastic sheeting while I stood outside following orders. What would she think of me now? Deserter, fugitive, father who couldn't protect their son from a virus or a military that treats children like weapons. Yeah, I say. I think she is. The transport drives toward Fort Sam Houston, toward whatever Protocol 7 means, toward the end. And I hold my son's hand in the darkness and pretend I don't know how this story ends. They don't implement Protocol 7 immediately. Instead, they put us in a proper containment facility by a safety level 4 underground, Fort Sam Houston's secure medical wing. Tobias gets a room with an airlock and negative pressure ventilation. I get an adjacent cell with observation windows. We can see each other, can't touch, can't hold hands anymore. Just watch. It's been 42 days. Dr. Strand visits twice a week. She runs tests on Tobias through the airlock using remote equipment. Brain scans, blood draws, cognitive assessments. She's trying to understand the mechanism, how the virus rewired his neurology, whether it can be reversed, whether it can be controlled. So far, nothing. Tobias's abilities haven't weakened. If anything, they've gotten stronger. He can reach through the containment walls now, not physically but mentally. I feel him sometimes. His fear, his loneliness, his grief for his mother. It's like having another person's emotions layered over my own. Some days I can't tell where I end and he begins. I asked Strand about it during her last visit. Am I developing his abilities? Through exposure? No, she said. You're experiencing the psychogenic transfer, but it's not changing your neurology. You're just receiving, like a radio that can hear the signal but can't broadcast. How long am I going to receive? She didn't answer that. Colonel Vickers came to see me once. Week 2 of containment. He stood outside my cell looking uncomfortable. Hayes, I want you to know I advocated for alternatives. Argued with Fort Sam Command for 3 days. But the decision is above my authority level. What decision? Protocol 7 remains authorized. They're giving Dr. Strand another 60 days to develop a containment method. After that, he didn't finish. 60 days. 42 have passed. 18 remain. I count them. Every morning I wake up in this cell and I count the days until my son dies. The settlement tried to help. Governor Ashford filed some kind of legal challenge with whatever's left of the Texas government. Argued that Tobias is a minor being held without trial. That Protocol 7 violates due process. That the military is executing a child for being sick. Nobody responded. The Texas government is too busy trying to maintain order in Austin to care about one kid in a Fort Sam containment facility. I tried to call my sister in Dallas. They told me the phone lines are down. Not sure if that's true or if they just don't want me making contact with anyone outside the facility. Tobias is getting worse. Not physically. His vitals are stable, the virus hasn't returned, but mentally. He barely talks anymore. Just sits in his containment room staring at the walls. Sometimes I feel him reaching out, trying to connect to anyone, anything, so he doesn't have to be alone with his own thoughts. Last week, I felt him touch another patient. Someone in a different part of the facility. An adult male with the fever. Tobias didn't mean to, it just happened because he was desperate for contact, and the man started screaming. Hemorrhaged from every orifice. Dead within 6 minutes. Dr. Strand documented it. Added it to her reports. Proof that Tobias's abilities are lethal at increased ranges. Proof that containment is failing. Proof that Protocol 7 is the only option. I asked Strand yesterday, how will you do it when the 60 days are up? She looked at me through the observation window. Staff Sergeant. That's not something you need to know. He's my son. I deserve to know how you're going to kill him. Long pause. Then, lethal injection. It's fast. Painless. He won't suffer. Will I be there? Do you want to be? I think about Denise. How I couldn't be with her when she died. How Tobias couldn't say goodbye. How the military's protocols separated us when we needed each other most. Yes, I say. I want to be there. I'll make the arrangements. 18 days until Protocol 7. 18 days until I watch them inject poison into my son's veins because his body did something miraculous and terrifying and nobody knows how to help him. I don't sleep much anymore. When I do, I have dreams. Except they're not my dreams. They're Tobias's. I see through his eyes. Feel what he feels. The crushing loneliness of being the only person in the world who experiences reality this way. The guilt over the people he's hurt even though he never meant to. The knowledge that he's going to die alone in a concrete room while his father watches through glass. Sometimes I think about fighting, about trying to break out. But where would we go? The settlement won't harbor us again. They took enough risk the first time. The city is dead. The military controls everything that's left. There's nowhere to run. So I sit in my cell and I count the days and I feel my son's fear bleeding into my consciousness and I understand that this is my life now. Waiting for the military to kill my child. Knowing I can't stop it. Knowing that everything I did, deserting, running, surrendering, didn't matter. The outcome was always inevitable. Dr. Strand told me yesterday that she's sorry. That she wishes there was another way. That Tobias is a fascinating case study and she regrets that the research has to end this way. I wanted to reach through the glass and strangle her. For calling my son a case study. For treating his death like the unfortunate conclusion to a failed experiment. But I didn't, because violence won't save him. Nothing will save him. Denise used to say that the hardest part of being a parent is accepting what you can't control. You can't control if your kid gets sick. Can't control if they're born with challenges. Can't control the world they grow up in. You just love them through it. Do your best and hope it's enough. I did my best. It wasn't enough. 15 days now. 15 days until Protocol 7. Tobias knows. I can feel him knowing. His acceptance is worse than his fear. He's 8 years old and he's accepted that he's going to die. What kind of world makes children accept their own deaths? Governor Ashford sent a message through back channels. Some kind of underground communication network that survivors use. She said the settlement is thriving. 400 people becoming 500. They're growing crops, building more walls, creating something that looks like civilization from the wreckage. She said she's sorry she couldn't save Tobias, that she thinks about him every day, that the settlement named their medical clinic after him. The Tobias Hayes Memorial Clinic. Memorial, like he's already dead. I don't respond. What would I say? Thank you for the clinic? Thanks for remembering my son will die in 2 weeks? 12 days. Ortega visited. She's not part of Dr. Strand's team. She's still at Camp Charlie doing refugee medical work, but she pulled strings to get access. She stood outside my cell crying. Staff Sergeant, I'm so sorry. If I hadn't run those tests, if I hadn't documented his antibodies, maybe they wouldn't have known. Maybe he'd still be in Barracks 14. It's not your fault, I told her. You were doing your job. My job killed a child. The virus killed him. The virus and the military's fear. Not you. She left still crying. I don't think she believed me. 9 days. Dr. Strand brought a chaplain. Asked if Tobias wanted to talk to someone about spiritual matters. Tobias said no. He doesn't believe in God anymore. Not after watching his mother die. Not after this. I don't believe in God either. Not anymore. What kind of God creates a virus that kills mothers and gives children abilities they can't control and then stands by while the military implements Protocol 7? What kind of God makes fathers watch their sons die twice a year, once behind plastic sheeting, once through observation glass? 6 days. Tobias asked me yesterday through the intercom, Dad, do you think it hurts? Dying? Dr. Strand said it's fast. You'll just go to sleep. Will you be there? Yes, I'll be right there. I promise. Will you hold my hand? I couldn't answer that because I don't know if they'll let me. Don't know if contamination protocols will keep me on my side of the glass even at the end. Don't know if my last promise to my son will be another lie. 3 days. The dreams are constant now. I can't tell when I'm awake or asleep. Can't tell if the thoughts in my head are mine or Tobias's. I feel his fear like it's my own. Feel his grief for his mother. Feel his regret that he didn't get to grow up. Get to go to high school. Get to fall in love. Get to have children of his own. He's 8 years old. He should be worrying about homework and video games and whether the other kids like him. Not about lethal injections. One day, Dr. Strand came to my cell this morning. Staff Sergeant, I need to inform you that Protocol 7 will be implemented at 0900 hours tomorrow. You'll be brought to the observation room at 0845. Tobias will be sedated beforehand to minimize distress. The process will take approximately 4 minutes from injection to cessation of cardiac function. A chaplain will be present if you wish. You'll be given 1 hour after the procedure to say goodbye before the body is transported to the morgue for autopsy and incineration. The body, not Tobias. The body. Will I be able to touch him? After. Yes. Once we've confirmed cessation of psychogenic activity, physical contact will be permitted. So I get to hold my son's hand when he's already dead. Strand looked away. I'm sorry, Staff Sergeant. No, you're not. You're relieved. You get to write your papers about the fascinating case of subject Tobias Hayes. You get to publish in medical journals about psychogenic viral mutations. You get to advance your career on my son's corpse. That's not fair. Fair? You want to talk about fair? My son survived a virus that killed his mother. His body did something miraculous. Fought off a disease that killed millions. And your response is to murder him because you're scared of what miracles look like. Don't talk to me about fair. She left without responding. I'm writing this now. 13 hours until they kill Tobias. I don't know who I'm writing for. Maybe nobody. Maybe just so there's some record that my son existed. That he was more than subject Tobias Hayes. That he was a real person who loved his mother and liked chocolate milk and was scared of thunderstorms and had Denise's brown eyes. That he was 8 years old. That he deserved better than this. I can feel him right now. In the next room. He's awake. Scared. Reaching out for me through the walls. His consciousness brushing against mine. I'm here, buddy. I'm right here. I'm not leaving you. 0847 hours. They came for me 2 minutes ago. Led me to the observation room. It's small, maybe 8 by 10 feet, with a large window looking into Tobias's containment cell. There are chairs. Medical equipment on the other side of the glass. Dr. Strand and 2 medical technicians I don't recognize. The chaplain is here. Army chaplain, captain's rank. He's reading from a Bible. I'm not listening. Tobias is on a gurney. They've given him the sedative. His eyes are half closed. But he sees me through the glass. Lifts one hand slightly. A wave. Or goodbye. I can't tell. I put my hand against the glass. He mirrors the gesture from his side. Our palms separated by 3 inches of reinforced material and a military protocol that says my son has to die. Dr. Strand is holding a syringe. Clear liquid. Pentobarbital, probably. The same thing they use for lethal injections in prisons. My 8-year-old son is being executed like a condemned criminal. She's checking the 4-line, making sure everything's ready. Professional. Efficient. Like this is just another medical procedure. The chaplain finishes whatever prayer he was reading. Looks at me. Would you like to say anything, Staff Sergeant? What's left to say? That I love him? He knows that. That I'm sorry? Sorry doesn't stop the injection. That this is wrong? Everyone in this room knows it's wrong. They're doing it anyway. Tobias? I say through the intercom. My voice is shaking. You're the best thing that ever happened to me and your mom. You hear me? The best thing. And I'm proud of you. So proud. You survived things that would break adults. You stayed kind even when the world was cruel. You're the bravest person I know. He's crying. I can see tears running down his cheeks. I love you, Dad. I love you too, buddy. So much. Dr. Strand looks at me. Staff Sergeant, we're ready to proceed. Do you want a moment? Let's get this over with. She nods. Injects the pentobarbital into the 4-line. I watch the liquid flow through the clear tubing. Watch it enter my son's vein. Watch his eyes start to close. His hand against the glass goes slack. Through our connection, the psychogenic link he can't control, I feel him slipping away. Feel his consciousness getting dimmer, like a light slowly fading. He's not scared anymore, just tired. So tired. His heart rate monitor starts to slow. 95 beats per minute. 87. 73. 58. I'm counting each beat. Each second of my son's life ending. 41 beats per minute. 29. 15. His hand slides down the glass. Leaves a smear where his palm was pressed. 8 beats per minute. 4. 2. The monitor flatlines. One long, continuous tone. Dr. Strand checks for pulse. Pupil response. Cardiac activity. Time of death. 0903 hours. Cessation of psychogenic activity confirmed. The chaplain is saying something. I don't hear him. I'm still standing with my hand against the glass. Still feeling the empty space where Tobias's consciousness used to be. Like part of my own mind has been scooped out. They're opening the containment room, telling me I can go in now, touch him now, now that it's safe, now that he's dead and can't hurt anyone with his impossible abilities. I walk through the airlock. The room smells like disinfectant and something else. Something chemical from the pentobarbital. Tobias is on the gurney. Eyes closed. Face peaceful. He looks like he's sleeping. Except he's not sleeping. He's dead. My 8-year-old son is dead because the United States military decided it was easier to kill him than try to help him. I pick up his hand. Still warm. I hold it the way I've wanted to hold it for 42 days. The way they wouldn't let me because of contamination protocols. I'm so sorry I couldn't protect you. I'm sorry I failed you. I'm sorry Mom's not here. I'm sorry for all of it. He doesn't answer. He's never going to answer again. They give me my hour. I sit in that containment room holding my dead son's hand for exactly 60 minutes. Then the MPs come. Tell me time's up. Tell me they need to transport the body. The body. That's all he is now. Medical waste to be autopsied and incinerated. I'm escorted back to my cell. They're keeping me here for another 72 hours for observation. Make sure I didn't contract whatever Tobias had. Make sure I'm not a threat. Then they'll decide what to do with me. Dishonorable discharge, probably. Court-martial for desertion. I don't care. It's been 6 hours since Tobias died. I can still feel the echo of him. Like phantom limb pain. My mind keeps reaching for his consciousness and finding nothing. Just empty space where my son used to be. The settlement named a clinic after him. Dr. Strand will publish papers about him. The military will classify his case file and forget he existed. In a few years, nobody will remember the 8-year-old boy who survived a virus and developed impossible abilities and was executed for being different. Nobody except me. I'll remember the way he looked at me through the plastic sheeting when his mother died. The way he tried to be brave in the isolation room. The way his hand felt in mine. The way his consciousness touched mine in those final moments before the pentobarbital stopped his heart. I'll remember that he was 8 years old. That he liked chocolate milk. That he was scared of thunderstorms. That he had his mother's brown eyes. That he was my son. That I couldn't save him. I'm writing this 12 hours after Protocol 7. Midnight. The facility is quiet. I should try to sleep. But sleep means dreams. And dreams mean feeling that empty space where Tobias used to be. So I sit in this cell and I write and I count the hours since my son died. 12 hours. 12 hours in a life that stretches ahead with nothing but empty space and the memory of a small hand pressing against observation glass. The chaplain came back, asked if I wanted to talk, to pray, to find meaning in senseless tragedy. I told him to leave. There's no meaning here, just a dead child and a military that chose fear over compassion. Dr. Strand sent a message. She's completed the autopsy. Tobias's brain showed extensive neural restructuring, new synaptic pathways that shouldn't exist, cellular changes that medical science can't explain. She called it groundbreaking, said his case will revolutionize our understanding of viral neural modification. I hope she chokes on her groundbreaking research. 16 hours since Protocol 7. The settlement sent another message. They're dedicating the Tobias Hayes Memorial Clinic tomorrow. Governor Ashford asked if I wanted to say anything, some words to commemorate his sacrifice. I sent back 5 words. He shouldn't have had to. 24 hours. One day since I watched them murder my son. One day of breathing and eating and existing in a world where Tobias doesn't. Where he'll never grow up, never go to high school, never fall in love, never have children of his own. All because his body did something miraculous and the military was too afraid to let him live. They're processing my discharge papers. Dishonorable like I expected. For desertion and violation of military authority. I'll be released from custody in 48 hours. Escorted to the Fort Sam gate and told to leave. I don't care. I deserved dishonorable. I deserve worse. I failed my son. Failed to protect him. Failed to save him. Failed to stop them from killing him. 48 hours since Protocol 7. They're releasing me today. Civilian clothes. Discharge papers. Escort to the gate. The MP handling my release is young, maybe 23. Looks uncomfortable. Staff Sergeant Hayes, former Staff Sergeant, you're free to go. The military has determined you're no longer a biological risk. You're required to report to the nearest survivor settlement for registration within 72 hours. Where do I report? That's your choice, sir. There are settlements throughout Texas. Pick one and check in with whatever local authority they've established. The gate opens. I walk out. Fort Sam Houston behind me. The city ahead. San Antonio, where this all started. Where Denise died. Where Tobias survived a virus and developed impossible abilities and was murdered for it. I start walking. No destination. No plan. Just walking away from the facility where my son died. 3 weeks since Protocol 7. I'm in the settlement now. Governor Ashford's place. She didn't turn me away. Gave me a room. A job maintaining the walls. I don't talk much. Don't sleep much. Just work and exist and try not to think about observation glass and small hands and consciousness fading. The Tobias Hayes Memorial Clinic is busy. They treat maybe 40 patients a day. Fevers, injuries, infections. The kind of medical care that might have saved Denise if she'd gotten it in time. The kind of care Tobias never needed because his body was too good at surviving. I walked past the clinic yesterday. There's a plaque by the entrance. It says, "In memory of Tobias Hayes, who survived the impossible and paid the ultimate price for being extraordinary." Paid the price, like it was some fair transaction. Like his death bought something worthwhile. His death bought nothing. Just cleared a potential threat from the military's roster. One less variable to manage in a world already full of chaos. 2 months since Protocol 7. I'm still at the settlement. Still maintaining walls. Still not sleeping. The phantom limb feeling hasn't faded. My mind still reaches for Tobias's consciousness and finds nothing. I don't think it's ever going to stop. Governor Ashford asked me yesterday if I wanted to teach. They're starting a school for the settlement children. Need someone who can teach basic skills, reading, math. You were military, she said. You know how to train people. And the kids should know about Tobias. About what happened to him. So it doesn't happen again. I told her I'd think about it. But I don't know how to teach children about my son without also teaching them that the world kills extraordinary people. that miracles get you executed, that if you survive the impossible, someone in authority will decide you're too dangerous to live. What kind of lesson is that? 3 months since Protocol 7. I took the teaching job. 16 children in the settlement between ages 6 and 13. I teach them reading and basic math and how to stay safe in a world that's still collapsing. I don't teach them about Tobias yet. I'm not ready. Maybe I'll never be ready. One of the kids, a girl named Ivy, 10 years old, asked me yesterday if I had any children. The other kids got quiet. They know. Everyone in the settlement knows about the disgraced staff sergeant who tried to save his son and failed. I had a son, I said. His name was Tobias. He was 8. He died 3 months ago. How did he die? I looked at her, at all of them. Children who survived a virus outbreak and refugee camps and the collapse of civilization. Children who might develop their own impossible abilities someday. He died because people were scared of him, because he was different, and instead of trying to understand him, they decided he was too dangerous to live. The classroom was silent. Don't be afraid of being different, I told them, but be careful who you trust with your differences, because some people would rather eliminate what they don't understand than learn from it. Ivy raised her hand. Do you think they'll kill other people like your son? If there are others? Yes, I said. I think they will, unless people like us stand up and say it's wrong. Unless we build a world that protects extraordinary children instead of executing them. 6 months since Protocol 7. I'm still teaching, still not sleeping well, still reaching for a consciousness that isn't there anymore. Dr. Strand published her paper, Psychogenic Neural Modification Following VSA-1 Infection, a case study of subject teach 001. It's circulating through whatever's left of the medical community. She's being called brilliant, revolutionary. She's built her career on my son's corpse, exactly like I said she would. I hope every word of that paper burns in her throat. The settlement is growing. 600 people now. They're building more walls, more clinics, more schools, creating something that looks like civilization. And at the center of it is a memorial clinic with my son's name on it. A reminder that extraordinary comes with a cost. 1 year since Protocol 7. I'm sitting in my room writing this. Same room the settlement gave me when I arrived. Same walls. Same empty feeling. It's been 1 year since I watched them kill Tobias. 365 days of waking up and remembering he's gone. 365 days of phantom consciousness reaching for something that isn't there. 365 days of living in a world that's supposed to keep getting better but feels like it's getting worse. The settlement threw me a small memorial today. Governor Ashford. Ortega. She transferred here 6 months ago. Said she couldn't stay at Camp Charlie anymore. Some of the teachers, the parents of kids I teach, they brought flowers. Talked about Tobias like they knew him, like he was their loss too. Maybe he is. Maybe every child killed for being different belongs to all of us. But he was mine first, my son. And I'm the one who couldn't save him. I'm the one who has to live with that. Every day I wake up and I'm still here and Tobias isn't. Every day I teach children about reading and math and survival, and I don't tell them that survival doesn't matter if the world kills you for being special. Every day I maintain walls that are supposed to keep threats out but couldn't keep the real threat from killing my son. Every day I exist in a world that made me choose between watching everyone die and watching my son die. That's not a choice. That's torture disguised as moral complexity. They say time heals. It's been a year. Nothing's healed. The wound where Tobias used to be is as raw now as it was the day they injected pentobarbital into his veins. The empty space where his consciousness touched mine is still empty. The memory of his small hand against observation glass is still the last thing I see before I can't sleep. 1 year since Protocol 7 and I'm not healing. I'm not moving forward. I'm not finding meaning or peace or acceptance. I'm just here, still breathing, still existing, still counting days since my son died, still reaching for a consciousness that will never answer. That's what I have now. That's what the military left me. Not closure, not healing, just this, the permanent knowledge that I couldn't save my son, that I watched them kill him, that extraordinary is a death sentence and love isn't enough and the world kills children for being miracles. I'll carry that until I die. Every day, every hour, every moment my mind reaches for Tobias and finds nothing but empty space. That's Protocol 7's legacy. Not just a dead child, a father living with the permanent weight of watching his son die for being different. They wanted to eliminate the threat. They eliminated my son, but they created something else. They created me, a father who will never forget, never forgive, never stop reminding the world what they did. Tobias Hayes, 8 years old, brown eyes, like chocolate milk, scared of thunderstorms, survived a virus that killed his mother, developed impossible abilities, was murdered by the United States military for being extraordinary. My son, gone 1 year, still reaching for him, still finding nothing, still here anyway.